Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Path of the Prophets. Here we are in the 6th largest city in the world, Cairo, Egypt, along the Nile River, the longest river in the world. Well, sometimes people say that the Amazon might be a little bit longer, but the Nile is quite long. The Nile, it's an interesting river. Here it's a greenish color, but it changes colors a number of times as it makes its way from the high volcanic regions of Eastern Africa and of Northeastern Africa in the Horn. The Nile as it is, it consists mainly of water from the Blue Nile and the White Nile. Now the Blue Nile starts out at Lake Tana in Ethiopia, in the Horn of Africa, Northeast Africa. And we have a giant waterfall there. And then it makes its way through Sudan, where there's a confluence of the Blue Nile with the White Nile at Khartoum. Now the White Nile, it starts down in the Great Lakes region of Africa, in Lake Albert, Lake Victoria region, the Great Lakes region of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. Although I was reading how in ancient times, like very ancient times, the Nile actually started out much further south in Africa, down by Malawi and southern Africa. So it makes its way up through all these countries from the high volcanic mountains, and then the White Nile joins the Blue Nile at Khartoum, and then winds its way through what used to be ancient Kush and ancient Nubia, going past Aswan, going past Luxor, until it gets to this area of Cairo, before it heads further north and empties into the Mediterranean Sea in the Nile Delta region. We're just south of the beginning of the Delta region. So it pours out at, I believe, Rashida or Rosetta and maybe Damianta, I forget the name exactly, sorry about that, Egyptians. This is such it's a beautiful part of the world. So anyway, this river, it's very, very interesting. There used to be a canal that starts over by the Babylon fortress. It's an ancient Roman fortress, and a canal stretched from there all the way to the Red Sea. So the Suez Canal was not the first canal linking the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea with the Indian Ocean. So what's interesting here at Cairo, I'll tell you a couple of quick facts. Cairo, in ancient times, one of the northern suburbs is Heliopolis, the city of the sun. And then just south of here is Memphis. So two ancient cities lined the banks of the Nile here in the Cairo metro area. And the Cairo metro area is about 21 million people, 6th largest metro area in the world, from what I gather. And the Nile goes right through here, and it's still very important for agriculture, for transport of goods and people. Now, one of the things that's interesting, like I've been thinking a lot about reading and ways to read the outer signs and the inner signs. And it's very interesting to me that people speak about literalism and being a literalist. And when we think about literalism, I don't think that most people are reading things literally necessarily, as they really are. Like we could expand out literal. We could say, like right now, I could say, I'm currently in the country of Egypt, and yet I'm standing on Sudanese soil, or I'm standing on Ugandan soil right now. I'm standing on Ethiopian soil. And you might be like, brother, how's that possible? If you're standing in Egypt, how would you be standing on that soil? Well, traditionally, before all the dams along the Nile, the soil, every year there would be massive flooding throughout a huge swath of Egypt. I think Egypt, only like 3.5% of the land in Egypt is arable or farmable and livable for the most part. Most of that is along the Nile, where it is quite fertile, but not nearly as fertile as it used to be. Because in the past, what happened is all this really mineral-rich volcanic silt and soil from the high Ethiopian highlands and the volcanic regions of Eastern and Central Africa would make their way here and then flood out yearly onto the banks of the Nile. And the food here was known for being, nutritious, and you could grow all kinds of great crops here. These days, not so much. It requires a tremendous amount of fertilizer, which causes serious cancers and all kinds of crazy diseases. So anyway, the flooding every year with the alluvial soil, it would be deposited on the banks of the Nile. And there used to also be another branch of the Nile called the Yellow Nile that started out in Chad. And now it's dried out for the most part, as far as I know. Maybe it'll run a bit during seasonal rains if there are unusually high deposits of rainfall. But what I was going to say is that right now we're standing on soil that had been deposited from other countries, from other lands, further up in Africa. So right now we could very well be standing on soil that came here from Sudan. So that means I am standing on Sudanese soil, like land from Kush, from Nubia, from Sudan, from Ethiopia. Right now, here in Egypt, it's very interesting when you think about it in those terms. So if you were reading something in, say, Hadith or in Scripture, and it mentions a certain country, there are other ways of reading that country. It might be literally that land had been deposited, or through cultural diffusion, certain things had come downstream along a river. So I'll discuss this a little bit more in detail in another video. The main point was that we're just focused here on a section of Cairo's Nile here in Egypt. And I wanted to give a little quick introduction to it. So until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.